It's 4:30.
Okay.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Adam Olsen, and you're watching the Public Circle Live. This is episode 29. Unbelievable that I've done 29 weeks of anything, never mind 29 weeks of the Public Circle. Back when we first started this, Emilie Aldis, who was working in my office at the time, said, yes, Adam, you can get lights, but you have to stick to it. And so here we are. We're 29 weeks in, and I'm hanging out today with Emilie de Rosenroll from the South Island Prosperity Project. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So I wanted to have you come and have a chat with me about the South Island Prosperity Project, something that I was part of right at the very, very beginning. Just, I won't take any credit, it's just very little bit part of, and doing some very cool things. But first, let's start with, who is Emilie de Rosenroll?
Great. Well, my name is Emilie, and I'm the CEO of the South Island Prosperity Project. The Prosperity Project is a group that was formed not that long ago. We're actually only in our third year, so April 2016. We're actually the Regional Economic Development Agency for Greater Victoria, but we don't like to use that word because it bores people, so we like to talk about prosperity. So we're here to create prosperity, and we bring together a lot of our partners across the region to do that. So private partners, we're represented by 13 municipal governments.
Yeah.
We have also 5 First Nation communities that are our members, 3 of the post-secondaries, 5 industry and business associations, 20 of the largest employers of the region, 2 nonprofits. That's it, 45.
And the beauty of live, Facebook Live, is that if you don't have your microphone plugged in, you just do it mid-roll. So this started from like, I remember when I was on Central Saanich Council, there was a move by at that point it was a different body to bring together the economic development for the region. It was like people were straining under the weight of it. And then this is kind of what came of that. It was the city of Victoria and other I think Saanich, and then the universities. Really, I think this started from a conversation that happened at the university about representing this region together.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we're an interesting region. We have so many different communities and identities, which is wonderful. But of course, sometimes it makes collaboration a little bit challenging. So, seeing ourselves as actually one great big region that's very interconnected and very interdependent, which is of course really quite critical to understanding how to manage and grow your economy in a way that still maintains quality of life for everybody. So yeah, that was a bit of a hurdle that was overcome in sort of record timing. It happened so fast. Yeah,
it did. And I remember them saying, like, my involvement in the early days was, I remember the press release going out saying, we intend to connect with First Nations. And I was like, how? And they're like, oh yeah, that's a good point. I'm not sure. And I said, I can help. And so that, and I, hosted a couple of meetings and brought some of the First Nations around the table. And I think that it is one of the first really truly collective movements within the region where Indigenous communities were a part of the thought at the very beginning and not an afterthought saying, oh, maybe we should include. And so the inclusivity of it, I think, was really cool, and it captured my attention. And you said there's 5?
Yeah, there's 5. Yeah.
And all 3 municipalities on the Saanich Peninsula are part?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. So to have this kind of level of inclusive partnership is something that quite honestly, it's not something we've done before. It never happened in this region on this level. And we've just sort of leapfrogged ahead. So our model is now gaining international attention and national attention. We just recently won an International Economic Development Council award, a bronze medal for our governance. We've just been shortlisted in the Barcelona Smart City Expo for our governance. We're one of 5. Yeah, so we're really, I'm actually very proud that partnerships is becoming a hallmark for this region, something that we can all share and be proud of.
Cool. And I just did a tour this morning of Nicholson. I'm not sure if they're a organization that's part of your group, but I am constantly amazed. Well, I shouldn't be amazed. It makes it mean it seems like then I have such low standards for this area. I'm not really amazed, But I do like it when the businesses on the Saanich Peninsula open their doors for me, and I get the opportunity to go and have a tour. And what the quality businesses that are in our region, the quality businesses that are in Saanich North and the Islands, and I'll go up against any one of my MLA colleagues from the region with Saanich North and the Islands, because what's out here on the Saanich Peninsula in the manufacturing, in the retail and industries is second to none. These companies, Nicholson making machines for the forestry industry, Epicure, which is a business that I visited a couple of weeks ago in the food industry, really, really high quality companies. And for the region, we on the Saanich Peninsula produce and have some of the only really strong industrial land that has, I guess, going back along the industrial lands of the city of Victoria are now in transition. And I know that there's industrial land being zoned in the West Shore, but we've got really well established businesses, plus access. So the ferries, the airport. And so I really see the value of the Saanich Peninsula to the economy of the region. Very glad that that we're a part of South Island Prosperity Project. Long-winded. You're doing, I tend to be long-winded. I'm a politician, what can I say? You are doing work in mobility. Continues to be, and we're focusing on a theme of transportation this month in our office. It's 1 year ago that we were focused on transportation as a theme in this office. It's an issue that businesses on the peninsula continue to come up with. Can you talk about the work that you're doing in transportation and mobility, some of the stuff that you're doing?
Absolutely. So we are actually in something called Canada Smart Cities Challenge. So we're helping convene the region and the whole, lots of people, lots of organizations are behind this initiative. We're now one of 20 communities that's been shortlisted from over 200 communities across Canada that applied to be one of Canada's first named smart cities in Canada. And so what is a smart city? Smart cities can mean a whole bunch of different things. It's really about how do we look at sustainability, how do we use technology better, data better, all of these practices that are available to us now to manage our systems better, our urban systems. So that could be transportation, that could be health, that could be how we vote, how we get around the region, how we spend our leisure time, how we connect to one another. All kinds of things are sort of possible. Most of us have heard of sort of smart light poles, that maybe, or ways of handling traffic congestion and flowing traffic better. So a lot of these things are about technologies that help efficiencies and often save money, save time, save pollution, those sorts of things. So our proposal has been all about smart mobility. And smart mobility is about, for us, how we're defining it is it's about how do we create an environment where we're not as car dependent. So meaning how do we facilitate more what people call multimodal transportation. So that means that, especially in Greater Victoria, where our climate is incredible, how do we actually start using water-based travel better? How do we use everything from scooters to bike shares to car shares? How do we bring all of these things into the picture, into our transportation picture? How do we make transit more effective and convenient? How do we do these things? Because we know that as our population is growing, and it is, the answer can't be just more cars on the road. It just won't work. Well,
actually, I have never had to commute to Victoria until getting this job. So now I commute to Victoria in the spring and in the fall. And I can't believe just for certain times of the day, I think that the Pat Bay Highway is generally probably big, wide enough and has enough capacity, but you hit uptown and it really becomes a problem. And then the timing of the lights, I could complain. I could go on about the timing of the lights from uptown to the legislature. Maybe we could talk to the new councillors in the city. I'll talk to the new councillors in the city of Victoria. But talk about how data impacts the decisions that are made, and how people get around. Of course, we're talking about big data, I think, in everything these days, but how does it impact?
Yeah. And all this talk about big data makes people nervous, but it's really about little data. It's about all of those sort of things that are happening that we're kind of tracking all the time. But how do we start to have those conversations so that we're actually using that as a natural resource? Right. We're generating all kinds of data. There's sensors everywhere. We're walking sensors now, walking around with our telephones. So how do we start to utilize this in a way that protects the common good, creates opportunities for people, and also preserves privacy and all of those things that we worry about?
But I guess eventually the data from our phones, from our telephones,
those aren't even
from our rotary dial telephones, but from our smartphones. We were on the Malahat coming back one long weekend, and the traffic was crazy, and I guess I was just hanging out on my phone as we were moving very, very slowly, and went to the maps, and it's already starting to be there. There was a big, long red line, and we were able to figure out where we were in that. And I guess it was just from the data of the smartphones and Google Maps, and that was where the data was. But hopefully, it's going to be able to help provide service providers like BC Transit or BC Ferries, or hopefully one day passenger ferry services, which I think, we've got water, let's use it. A way to be able to get around, or a way to be able to predict when people want to get around, how they want to get around, where they want to go, and then be able to build the transit systems that can, or the transportation systems that can help them do that.
Completely agree. Yeah, and so many cars actually now they're smart enabled, so they're actually already doing this. So and you can match that with parking spaces and so on. So you're spending less time, if you are driving, you're spending less time idling and burning time and burning gas or electricity. I suppose if yours is electric.
Mine is.
Yeah, mine is too. So it's all about those kinds of efficiencies and flowing. So in concrete terms, our projects are actually, we're looking at how do we create what would be most easily described as a centralized trip planning app and a centralized payment system that you can universal payment system. So you could end up in one place being able to see all of the interconnections and the timing, and sort of customize your journey in a way that means, I can go to work through a combination of a scooter and a transit and a bike share to get home. So you can mix and match the ways you're getting around the city in a way that's seamless and easy to do, and pay in one place. Right. So that would be amazing. And if you're not a cell phone person, then there's other ways to do it. You could be printing out, have a family account at home and print off the paper and then scan it when you get on the bus or whatever. So there's lots of ways to make sure it's still an inclusive system for everyone.
So is there a system for those of us that still use pagers?
Interesting. Honing pigeons is also something we're currently considering how to.
I was up in question period yesterday, and I was talking about forestry policy, and I was talking about forestry policy that's 20 years old, and now it's time to update forestry policy. And I said, unless of course we think that it's going to work, and in that case, then I look forward to my MySpace account blowing up, and people in the legislature were like, what is he talking about? Anyway, I did just last week start a new MySpace account. It still does exist, and I intend on one day making
it's retro.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's right. That's right. So what other? So there was, you did an expo recently, and it was a mobility expo, or a smart mobility.
That's
expo?
Right.
Smart mobility expo, and we went down and visited because you were at Centennial Square. I guess it was a couple of weeks ago. You gambled on an October afternoon in Centennial Square for a mobility expo, that it was going to be sunny and beautiful. And guess what? It was sunny and beautiful. So keep hosting events.
It was a perfect day. Yeah. We delivered.
What was SIPP doing in Centennial Square that day?
So we had what we call our first ever sort of Smart Mobility Expo, and what we wanted to do was sort of bring more people into the conversation around smart mobility and understanding what does multimodal mean, and actually the amazing array of options we have available to us in the South Island, which most people aren't aware of, or maybe don't think of things like scooters and or anything from an electric
Electric
ferry, exactly. Yeah. All of these things that are available to us, and we don't necessarily think of outside of leisure. So we were hosting some folks from Ottawa, from Infrastructure Canada, who are leading our challenge, and we were showing them around, and they couldn't believe, coming from Ottawa, how many bicycles can you need? Their season is so short. So right. We have this amazing temperature here and climate that really actually makes it a no-brainer to really enhance this.
So you were really, good on you to pick a day in October and then really showing off. Good.
We were showing off. I grew up in Ottawa, so I know that nobody wants to be my friend on Facebook after about January. Then they unfriend me for the winter season, and then
you can come visit. You can come on out and visit. It was pretty cool. The Harbor Ferries had their electric powered Harbor Ferry there, and we got a chance to hang out in it. That was pretty cool. There was an electric bus. Electric bus?
Electric bus and an electric garbage truck.
That's right.
Or refuse truck, they call
refuse truck.
Thank you.
Yes. Nothing's garbage any longer.
It's
all can be electric. Repurposed. All right. And so just a couple of more things here. There was also a young man there, and his name is escaping me. But SIPP hosted an event that was very much like the Dragon's Den, of which I'm an alumni, by the way. My sister and I went to the Dragon's Den, and we pitched our family's business, which was very fun.
That's awesome.
Talk about that another time. Yeah. But SIPP hosted a similar event, and that was and the winner of that. Talk about that, because you know about it more than I do. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was called the Open Innovation Challenge. And what we were intending to do is try to make this a bigger conversation. So what are people in the public, what are everyday citizens noticing about some of the main challenges that we have in the region, and what are their innovative ideas for solutions? And so we wanted to make that into a fun and engaging exercise. So we launched our first Open Innovation Challenge last year, which was a 4-month challenge that asked people in the public, what are your ideas? And you were able to compete for prizes up to $15,000. So we announced 3 winners, and there were 10 finalists, and it led up to this Dragon's Den style symposium, which was a ton of fun, and people were voting with their poker chips we called SIPP coin.
Nice.
Which we thought was clever. And
it was great. Probably didn't crash like the cryptocurrencies. Right. And the winner of that, or one of the winners of that, I don't know if he was the winner of it.
Yep, he's one of them. Yeah, one of the 3.
He designed I guess it was something electric bike for bikes that are not electric bikes.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct,
yeah.
Right? So
his name is Simon Park, and their company now, new company called Caboose. And Simon's actually a 3rd-year engineering student at UVic, right. And his story was pretty funny. He used to have to bike to UVic, and they'd go up that big hill, and he said he'd get really sweaty, and he hated getting sweaty. So he needed to go to an electric bike, and he started shopping around for an electric bike, and they were all $3,000 plus.
That's right.
And just beyond the price range for a student at anywhere, beyond the student budget. So he started tinkering around and came up with something like an electric assist that you could attach to any bicycle, right. Even your second, third, fourth hand bicycle, and add this piece on for under $500. I think $300 is what they were aiming for.
He was not committing on the price.
Yeah, he wasn't there. Yeah, it's probably increasing since he's won, and
he's
developed a business plan.
But he wants to make it so that it's accessible.
That's right. Yeah. So that was a really neat project, and that one was one that won. The other projects that won one was called NowPal, which was a way to actually take the concept of Uber and apply it to naloxone, so for overdose prevention, where you can actually look on your phone and tap a button that says, I'm in trouble, and anyone in the region gets a call and saying, you've got this pack that can help save people, and you've got the ability to do that. Then you go over and help people. So I was a professor at a UVic. And then the third one came from a nonprofit called Urban Orchard. So Growing Abundance in the Urban, Harvesting Abundance in the Urban Orchard. And this group can actually go to your backyard, and if you have a surplus of pears or apples in your backyard, they'll actually take them away, add processing, and then sell them. And it's a nonprofit. All goes for a good cause, and we don't waste anything.
So much fruit gets left either on the tree or on the ground, which on the ground's not a bad deal. It goes back into the soil, but so much food gets left uneaten, and it seems like that's a really cool idea. So we've got a few people here that have said hello: Gord, Emily, and Bob Thompson from Central Saanich, who I think that you know. I'm hanging out with Emilie de Rosenroll from the CEO of the South Island Prosperity Project, and we are talking all things transportation, innovation, bringing together the economic development of the Southern Saanich, or the Southern Vancouver Island. I was going to say Southern Gulf Islands because I talk about the Southern Gulf Islands so much. Are they a part of the Southern Gulf Islands? Part of?
They're not. Maybe one day. Yeah, we're a friendly bunch.
We'll talk about that.
Okay,
we'll talk about how to get they've got a lot of. There's a lot of cool and innovative people over there. Of course, a lot of very creative.
Yeah, there are.
So it was that was the innovation challenge that Simon Park was a part of, and actually just going back, just to give a pitch to Simon's, it was Caboost, right? Caboost was the name of it, and if you're wondering, like trying to get a visual of what it looks like, it does look like a little caboose.
Yeah.
It's like a little trailer on the back that attaches to the back of the bike, and it literally just gives you a caboost up the road. It was very cool. And he is now off working with Tesla. So
yeah,
there
on an
you go,
internship.
from what I understand.
Yeah, which is a crazy competitive program, and they usually hire all their interns. So
good.
He's doing well. Oh, and can I make a little pitch?
Please do, yeah.
We recently launched our Future Innovator Challenge. So that's you're gonna ask.
See that?
Oh, you were, yeah. So I stole your thunder there.
No, go. Fire away. Future Innovator Challenge.
Building on our previous challenge,
right,
we're now launching one in partnership with all of the post-secondaries and all of the high schools and private schools of the South Island. So we have everybody on board, and we're really expecting so much fun out of this competition. So it'll be much bigger because of how many people are going to be involved, and it's going to culminate in January with our sort of second Dragon's Den style event, and there'll be more sort of semi-finalists this time because of there are more applications. So we'll have a semi-finalist gallery called the Great Ideas Gallery, and then there'll be just it'll be a great time. So I hope to see everyone out there.
You know, one of the things. So what was interesting was I went to the all candidates meeting in Central Saanich. Number one issue by far: transportation, access to transit. I've gone to all of the high schools in my riding and met with high school students. The number one issue from youth, at least from the high schools that I visited, was transportation and access to transit.
That's right.
But one of the things that I find, and so this is the Future Innovator Challenge. I've sent this out to a number of high school students in the riding, saying you should get involved in this. Whenever I go to the high schools and talk to the students there, they have the greatest ideas. Like just this, we often, yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. You know, one day you'll vote and it'll be all good.
Right.
But this, I really commend SIPP for this because getting future innovators, they're actually current innovators. The ideas come without I think, you know, as you get older and more cynical, it's like, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's
so I think the ideas that you're going to have come forward are going to be ones that are very innovative and actually push the limit. Have you seen any of them come in yet, or are they all closed envelope and?
Yeah, no, it's too early still. We're doing some sort of design workshops and things like that and engagement around it. But no, I'm thrilled. And you're right. Give young people, you know, the freedom to come up with some solutions, and you know, we'll be amazed probably what comes forward, and probably for, you know, a fraction of the cost that you know, you ask fully aged adults to come up with, and our solutions will cost hundreds of millions.
Is that what we are? Fully
aged?
That's pretty cool.
That's not very good, is it?
So no, that's good. So what else does SIPP have? Anything else that we didn't canvas that you've got going on that we can talk about this afternoon?
Yes, so many things. So
okay.
I'll focus some energy here. So one thing we actually announced today was that we've been working with, we do some what we call company attraction work.
Okay.
For companies that we know are going to provide really good sustainable jobs for the region. So we certainly don't attract companies that we don't think will be a good match won't stick around in the region, aren't going to really contribute. But we're very proud today to announce that the Daytan Group, this Brazilian software company, has officially launched here. Yeah, so they're planning the next couple of years to bring up to 200 jobs to the region. A really family-oriented company, great paying jobs, lots of commitment to be here and to grow with us, and we're hoping it's going to really up our soccer game in the region. And
your soccer game?
Our soccer game, our Brazilian inspired soccer game.
So they're going to be setting up shop in Saanich North in the Islands?
I'll work on that for you.
There's lots of amazing spots that we can go and visit. I will constantly be pushing Saanich North. Anyway, so the Daytan Group, and what kind of jobs are they creating? Yeah,
they're software development jobs. So they were looking at, it's getting more and more difficult to do work in the USA. Given
Why? No, okay, sorry.
You've heard of a gentleman named right.
I have.
So partly, of course, it's getting talent in. It's harder to get visas down there. So a lot of companies that are that live and die by their talent, they are just starving. So more and more we're getting folks that are sort of looking up north, especially multinational companies that have a big footprint and interest or customer base in the Silicon Valley are looking up north. And you know what, we're looking pretty good compared to Vancouver these days. Much as I love Vancouver, it is also terribly, terribly expensive. So we're able to sort of propose a much different lifestyle and a much different sort of cost of doing business than Vancouver can.
Cool. Anything else? Putting you on the spot.
Oh, well, the details are going to be coming, but in February we're going to be doing something called the Indigenous Innovation Gathering.
Cool.
And so we're going to be looking at some of the different things going on in the region and business opportunities, really trying to foster as much collaboration as possible among the 10 First Nation communities and also outside the First Nation communities and how to make some bridges there. So we're very excited about that. We're also working on, as part of our Canada Smart Cities Challenge bid, in March our final application is due.
Right.
And that's a chance to bring $10 million to the region for smart mobility. So we're thrilled about that. We're hoping everyone will root for us. So you have to start using a hashtag called Freedom to Move, hashtag Freedom to Move. You're going to start seeing pop-up polls across the region where we're going to ask people, what does hashtag Freedom to Move mean to you? And do a video contest. What does it look like? Tell us your thoughts on smart mobility and getting around and what the Freedom to Move means. So that's one piece. And the last one would be the last one would be getting involved in the Smart Cities Challenge as much as you can.
Right, and I was asked to see if I could get help. Lean on government to get them to support the Smart Cities Challenge bid, and was unsuccessful. I think I was unsuccessful. Anyways, so
we'll never give up, though.
We will never
give up.
No, we will continue to push, and I think I'm actually very excited that Victoria is continuing to push on this, and part of having you come in and talk about it was that people, I think, any way that we can to get people to know that we are working on these issues. Like I just had a briefing with the Ministry of Transportation. There's some really exciting things that are coming down from them as well on looking at the region, and I'm excited about that. We're hosting a community dialogue on transportation in our office here in the constituency office in Sidney on November the 24th. It's going to be from 11 till 1, I think. Information for that is on our website at saanichnorthintheislands.com, where we continue to have the conversation. And one of the reasons why I host the community dialogue sessions is for very similar reasons to why SIPP does what it does, to mine ideas, to mine people who have to move around the region to find out. Oftentimes government thinks, we've got the best ideas. in the world will just roll with those, and then they don't take the time to actually stop and ask people, or they ask people in such a way, like there's lots of consultations going on, but it's one thing to sit down and actually listen to people and listen to them converse with one another. So I invite people to come to our transportation community dialogue, and I see that there's a couple of comments here thanking me for having you on, but also wanting a BC Transit representative to come. And BC Transit's been invited, and as is BC Ferries was here last time. The CEO of BC Ferries showed up to my community dialogue to talk about BC Ferries. It's a big deal here in Saanich North in the Islands. But these service providers, they're all going to be invited. We're hoping to have them all there, so that then they can talk about and hear people talk about how they use their systems and how they get around in an area. So, as Bob said, hashtag freedom to move. It's the SIPP, South Island Prosperity. What is your? Okay, I'm not going to guess. What's your website address?
SouthIslandProsperity.ca.
SouthIslandProsperity.ca. Hashtag freedom to move. Any final thoughts before we shut down for the weekend? Hopefully you have a really great weekend.
Thank you. Well, this week, can I also tell everybody that this week we were also announced as by the Intelligent Communities Forum as one of the Smart 21. So that's a global, the flip side of the local dialogues that are so critical and definitely a lot of what we try to do as well. But the flip side is also opening up our region and conversations to learn from places around the world. So we've been doing more of that, and we're asked to go and speak at a conference in Shanghai on smart cities and artificial intelligence, of all things. Cool. I never thought I would be speaking about that topic, but
it's coming. It's here, actually.
It's here. It's totally here. I'm completely artificial. I'm
very
intelligent
and extremely intelligent.
So that's sort of part of it. So we're quite proud, though, of the Smart 21 award that just came out this week, and the Barcelona Smart City Expo. We're again shortlisted, so hoping to win there, and really trying to just up Greater Victoria's profile so that the rest of the world knows how amazing this place is.
It's a fantastic place, and I'm so happy we didn't make it the opposite of the Smart 21.
The stupid. How many are there? Stupid
21, the 21, the other 21. I'm so glad that you and your team, who we didn't talk enough about, because I know that you've got a really great team.
They're phenomenal.
Dallas and Bruce. People know Bruce. He's been his personality is as big as there is in the city. That's here,
right, yeah.
And it's great to have him leaning in. But you've got a great team of people leaning in on behalf of all of us in the capital region or South Island.
Yeah, and phenomenal volunteers. So many volunteers that have made all of this happen. So we have an amazing board of directors and just so many people that have invested so much time in this because they believe in it.
Yeah,
we're very lucky.
So we are lucky to have a group out selling us and selling the great things that we're doing. So thank you for your work. Thank you for taking time on a Friday afternoon when you could have been done and shut down for the weekend already to come out and hang out with us. And we'll continue to do what we can from inside the legislature to help advance the work that you're doing. And as well, we need to stay connected on the other transportation issues that are coming around. You can get a hold of me in my office at adam.olsen.mla@ledge.bc.ca. That's really bad. Just look at the screen right now. It's all there. My phone number's there. My website's there. It is
SouthIslandProsperity.ca. #freedom to move.
There we go. Until next time, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me today,
Thanks
Emily.
for having me here.
And until next time, as I always say, haekwa. That's goodbye in Senchothan.